The Weight of One Word. Part 1. The Breaking Point. Marcus Webb stared at his laptop screen, the blue glow casting shadows across his face in the dim hotel room. Outside, the Pacific crashed against the California coastline, a sound that should have been soothing. Should have been. His phone buzzed for the 14th time that hour. Urgent. Need Q3 projections revised by EOD. Marcus, client presentation moved up. Where are the slides? Conference call in 20. You joining? He was supposed to be unreachable. That was the whole point of vacation. His first real one in 4 years. 4 years of 60-hour weeks, of skipped lunches hunched over spreadsheets, of sacrificed weekends that turned into a blur of fluorescent lights and the smell of burnt office coffee. 4 years of watching his daughter's soccer games through FaceTime, of missing his anniversary because a client in Singapore needed numbers that couldn't wait. His wife Rachel had given him an ultimatum 6 months ago, her voice steady, but her hands trembling. I feel like I'm married to a ghost, Marcus. You're here, but you're not here. Emma asked me yesterday if Daddy still lives with us. That had gutted him. His 7-year-old daughter, her gap-toothed smile and braids bouncing when she ran, shouldn't have to wonder if her father was part of the family. So he'd done it. He'd submitted his vacation request 3 months in advance, the way HR mandated. He'd documented every ongoing project in obsessive detail, created transition guides that could walk a trained monkey through his responsibilities. He'd briefed Jordan, his colleague, on every account, every deadline, every quirk of every difficult client. And he'd promised Rachel and Emma 2 weeks, just them. No laptop, no quick check-ins, no being halfway present while his mind churned through profit margins and risk assessments. The phone buzzed again. This is unacceptable. Call me immediately. Patricia Holbrook, Senior Vice President of Operations. The woman who'd once sent him an email at 3 a.m. on Christmas morning, then followed up at 7 a.m. asking why he hadn't responded. The woman who'd told him during his last performance review that work-life balance is a myth perpetuated by people who lack drive. Marcus felt something crystallize inside him, a decision that felt like stepping off a cliff, terrifying and liberating at once. He picked up his phone, typed out a message to Patricia, Jordan, and the entire project team. I am on approved vacation through August 15th. All necessary transitions were completed before my departure. I will respond to messages when I return. Enjoy your summer. He turned off his phone completely. Not just silenced it, but powered it down. The screen went black, and for the first time in years, Marcus felt like he could breathe all the way to the bottom of his lungs. Rachel appeared in the doorway, backlit by the hallway light. Everything okay? He stood, walked over, and pulled her close. She smelled like coconut sunscreen and the sea. Everything's perfect. Tomorrow, I'm teaching Emma to body surf, just like my dad taught me. She searched his face, then smiled. Really smiled, the way she used to when they were 23 and believed the world was generous. I've missed you, she whispered. I'm right here, he said, and he meant it. Part 2. The Hammer Falls. The sun had barely risen on day 4 of their vacation when Marcus finally turned his phone back on. He'd promised himself he wouldn't, but old habits died hard. Just a quick check, he told himself, just to make sure nothing was burning down. 147 messages, 73 missed calls. His stomach dropped. The most recent email had arrived 20 minutes ago. Sender, Patricia Holbrook. Subject line, immediate action required, return to office. His hands felt cold as he opened it. Marcus, your refusal to respond to urgent business needs during a critical project phase constitutes job abandonment and dereliction of duty. Your absence has put a multi-million-dollar client relationship at risk and demonstrated a fundamental lack of commitment to Silverstone Analytics. You are hereby directed to return to the office immediately to address these issues. Failure to comply will result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. This is not optional. Patricia Holbrook, SVP, Operations. Marcus read it twice, his heart hammering. Job abandonment? He'd submitted his vacation request. It had been approved. He had the email confirmation from HR sitting in his inbox, digitally signed by Patricia herself. He looked out at the beach where Emma was already awake, building an elaborate sandcastle, her laughter carrying on the morning breeze. Rachel was beside her, helping construct a moat. This moment, this was what he'd nearly lost forever. He typed out his response, his fingers steady. Patricia, I submitted my vacation request on May 3rd, which you approved on May 7th. All necessary work transitions were completed as required by company policy. I am exercising my right to disconnect during approved vacation time as outlined in the Employee Handbook. Section, I will return to the office on August 16th, as scheduled. Best regards, Marcus. He hit send before he could second-guess himself. The response came within minutes. Your insubordination has been noted. Report to HR upon your returning. Marcus tried to ignore the cold dread settling in his chest. He'd done everything right. He'd followed every rule. But he'd also worked at Silverstone long enough to know that rules were flexible when management wanted them to be. He powered off his phone again and went to join his family on the beach. Part 3. The letter. The morning Marcus returned from vacation, he found a FedEx envelope waiting at his door. Thick paper, corporate letterhead, the weight of institutional authority. He didn't open it on the porch, didn't open it in the car, drove to the office with it sitting on the passenger seat like a ticking bomb. The Silverstone Analytics building loomed 37 stories above downtown Chicago, glass and steel that reflected the morning sun like a blade. Marcus had loved this building once, felt pride walking through its marble lobby. Now it felt like a mausoleum. He took the elevator to the 23rd floor, carrying the unopened envelope. Jordan intercepted him in the hallway, his face tight with concern. Marcus? Hey. Listen, I tried to. It's okay, Jordan. No, it's not. What they're doing isn't right. I handled everything while you were gone. The client presentation went fine. There was no emergency. Marcus stopped walking. What do you mean? Jordan glanced around, lowered his voice. The urgent stuff they kept hammering you about? It was all things that could wait. I think she was testing you, seeing if you'd break. The envelope suddenly felt heavier. Go home, Marcus, Jordan said quietly. Read that somewhere else, not here. But Marcus was already walking toward HR. The Human Resources office occupied a sterile corner suite, all neutral tones and motivational posters that rang hollow. Teamwork makes the dream work, hung above a desk where Sharon Mitchell, director of HR, sat with an expression of practiced sympathy. Marcus, please sit down. He remained standing. I'll stand. Sharon's sympathetic mask slipped slightly, revealing something harder underneath. Very well. I assume you received our letter? I haven't opened it. Then let me save you the trouble. She slid a folder across the desk. Effective immediately, your position has been eliminated. This is part of a company-wide restructuring. Your severance package has been calculated according to... My position is eliminated? Marcus felt the words like a physical blow. I've been here for 4 years. My performance reviews have all been exemplary. I just closed the Morrison account. That's a $2 million contract. The decision has been made at the executive level. Sharon's voice had gone flat, corporate. However, due to your recent conduct, specifically your refusal to respond to urgent business needs and your insubordination towards senior leadership, the standard severance package has been adjusted. Canceled. She said it without flinching. Per company policy, employees terminated for cause are not eligible for severance pay. You'll receive compensation for unused vacation days and your final paycheck. That's all. The room seemed to tilt. 4 years of loyalty, of sacrificed time with his family, of building value for this company, and they were going to throw him out with nothing? No severance to cushion the blow while he searched for new work. No acknowledgement of everything he'd given. Marcus thought about Rachel, about Emma, about the mortgage payment due in 3 weeks, about the medical bills from Emma's broken arm last year that they were still paying down, about the careful budget they'd built that required both incomes with no margin for catastrophe. This was catastrophe. Sharon was still talking, her words washing over him like white noise. Collect your belongings, security will escort you, surrender your badge. He opened the envelope, read the letter. Every word was a nail in a coffin. Demonstrates a pattern of unreliability and disregard for company interests. Failure to prioritize critical business needs. Terminated for cause, effective immediately. The signature at the bottom belonged to Patricia Holbrook. Something shifted inside Marcus then. Not anger. Anger would have been hot, reactive. This was colder, clearer. He thought about his father, a union machinist who'd taught him that dignity wasn't something employers granted. It was something you carried regardless of what they tried to take. He thought about the contract he'd signed 4 years ago, pages of dense legal language he'd skimmed because he'd been so excited to get the job. But there was one clause he remembered clearly, because it had seemed odd at the time. His friend Derek, a labor attorney, had pointed it out over beers. That's unusual. Make sure you keep a copy. Marcus had. He'd kept a copy of everything. He looked at Sharon, at this woman who delivered brutality with a smile, and he felt something like peace settle over him. I'd like this in writing, he said. The reason for my termination, specifically that it's for cause. Sharon frowned slightly. It's in the letter. I'd like you to confirm it verbally, please. For my records. She sighed, the put-upon sound of someone dealing with a difficult child. Fine. You are being terminated for cause due to job abandonment and insubordination. You are not eligible for severance pay. Is that clear enough? Crystal clear. Thank you. Marcus turned to leave. Sharon called after him. You'll need to surrender your badge and laptop to security. Of course. He paused, at the door, looked back. Sharon, have a good day. The calmness in his voice seemed to unsettle her more than anger would have. Marcus sat in his car in the parking garage, the envelope and its letter of termination on the seat beside him. His hands were steady. His breath was even. Around him, the concrete tomb of the garage echoed with the sounds of people coming and going, rushing to meetings they thought mattered, to deadlines that would consume them. He'd been one of them. Now, he was something else. He pulled out his phone, the phone they hadn't taken from him yet, and opened his email. Composed a new message. Recipient, Patricia Holbrook. CC, Sharon Mitchell, Jordan Reeves, the entire executive team. Subject, termination. He typed one word, thank you. He hit send before he could think too much about it. Then he forwarded a copy of his original employment contract to Derek, his attorney friend, with a brief message. They took the bait. Check clause 7.3. Call me when you're done laughing. Then he drove home, where Rachel was making lunch, and Emma was coloring at the kitchen table. You're back early, Rachel said, and something in her voice told him she already knew. Wives always knew. They let me go. Emma looked up, crayon frozen mid-stroke. Daddy, are you sad? He knelt down beside her chair, eye level with his daughter. No, sweetheart, I'm not sad. Actually, I feel pretty good. Did you get fired? Emma had learned the word from some cartoon, used it with the casual cruelty of childhood, something like that. But you know what? Sometimes when one door closes, a better door opens. Rachel was watching him carefully, and he saw the moment her fear transformed into something else. Trust. She trusted him to choose them, and he had. We'll be okay, he told her. I know we will. She kissed his forehead. We always are. Part 5. The Reckoning. Derek called at 7 p.m. that evening. Marcus could hear the grin in his voice before he even spoke. Marcus, my friend, my brother, my favorite client. You found it. Oh, I found it. Clause 7.3 of your employment contract. I'm assuming they have no idea this exists. If they did, they wouldn't have terminated me for cause. Derek laughed, a sound of pure delight. Do you know what you've just handed them? Tell me. Okay, so let's walk through this. Clause 7.3. And whoever drafted your contract must have been drunk or copy-pasting from some old template. States that if an employee is terminated for cause related to refusal to perform work duties during legally protected time off, the company must provide compensation equal to 5 years of salary plus benefits. 5 years, Marcus. It's a whistleblower protection clause that somehow got mangled and ended up applying to vacation rights. Marcus felt his heart rate pick up. How much are we talking about? Based on your current salary, roughly $650,000, plus immediate vesting of all stock options, which I'm guessing is another $200,000. And here's the beautiful part. By having HR explicitly state in writing that you were terminated for cause due to your refusal to work during approved vacation time, they've triggered the clause perfectly. They literally documented their own violation. Can they fight it? They can try, but Marcus, this isn't even a close call. You have emails proving your vacation was approved. You have documentation that you completed all transitions. You have messages from Patricia demanding you work during that approved time off. And you have their termination letter explicitly citing your refusal to work during vacation as cause for dismissal. This is what we call a slam dunk. They'll settle. How fast? Once I send the demand letter, I'd give it 48 hours before their lawyers start panicking. A week before you get a settlement offer. You might want to think about whether you want to push this to trial for maximum damages or settle quickly and move on. Marcus thought about Emma, about Rachel, about the peace he'd felt watching sandcastles wash away in the tide. I want to move on, but I want them to understand what they did. Oh, they will. Trust me. They will. Part 6. The coffee. The emergency board meeting was called for 8 a.m. the following morning. Patricia Holbrook sat at the conference table, confused about the urgency, but confident in her authority. She'd eliminated a problematic employee who didn't understand that commitment meant being available 24/7. She'd sent a message to the rest of the team about priorities. This was leadership. Charles Brennan, the CEO of Silverstone Analytics, looked exhausted. He was drinking his third coffee of the morning, and it wasn't yet 8:15. Around the table sat the board of directors, the CFO, and Amanda Reyes, the company's general counsel. Amanda looked like she'd been awake all night. Probably had been, Patricia thought. Lawyers love to overdramatize. Thank you all for coming on short notice, Charles began. Amanda has brought to our attention a legal matter that requires immediate discussion. Amanda? The lawyer pulled out a thick folder. Yesterday afternoon, I received a demand letter from Derek Thornton in Thornton & Associates. He represents Marcus Webb. The employee who was terminated? What's he claiming? Wrongful termination? Discrimination? We followed protocol. Oh, you followed something, Amanda said, and there was an edge to her voice that made Patricia's confidence waver. Marcus Webb is claiming breach of contract under a specific clause in his employment agreement. What clause? Amanda slid copies of the contract across the table. Page 17, clause 7.3. I'm going to read it aloud because I want everyone to hear exactly what we're dealing with. The room fell silent. Amanda read, in the event that an employee is terminated for cause explicitly related to said employee's refusal to perform work duties during legally protected time off, including but not limited to approved vacation leave, the company shall provide compensation equal to 5 times the employee's annual salary, immediate full vesting of all equity compensation, and continuation of health benefits for a period of 5 years. Patricia felt the blood drain from her face. That can't be. It is. Amanda cut her off. This clause is in Marcus Webb's contract. It's also in the contracts of approximately 40 other employees hired during the same quarter 4 years ago. There was a template error that nobody caught. The clause was intended to protect whistleblowers, but got mangled during editing. It should never have made it into final contracts, but it did. Charles set down his coffee cup carefully. Walk me through the exposure here. Marcus Webb's salary is $130,000 annually. 5 times that is $650,000. His vested stock options are worth approximately $200,000. Total direct cost, $850,000. Plus the 5 years of health benefits, call it another $75,000. We're looking at just under $1 million for this one termination. The CFO spoke up, her voice strained. What are our chances in court? Amanda's expression was grim. Minimal. We have documentation that HR created and that Patricia signed, explicitly stating that Marcus Webb was terminated for cause due to refusing to respond to work demands during approved vacation time. That's a textbook trigger of Clause 7.3. His attorney has emails proving the vacation was approved months in advance. He has transition documents proving he completed all required handoffs. He has messages from Patricia. She looked directly at the SVP, demanding he perform work during that approved vacation. Patricia's mouth went dry. I was ensuring continuity of operations. You were violating both the employment contract and California labor law regarding the right to disconnect. Amanda's voice was steel. And then, when Mr. Webb exercised his contractual rights, you terminated him for cause and canceled his severance. You didn't just step on a rake. You jumped on it with both feet. Charles picked up his coffee cup again, but his hands were trembling. The cup slipped from his fingers, shattering on the marble floor. Coffee spread across the white stone like blood. Nobody moved to clean it up. How did we miss this? Charles's voice was barely above a whisper. The clause was in a section typically reserved for executive contracts, Amanda explained. When someone copied the template from mid-level positions, they didn't remove it. And nobody in HR or legal caught it during 4 years of using that template. How many other employees have this clause? 43. If word gets out about this settlement, we could be facing similar claims from current or former employees. The total exposure could be north of $30 million. The room erupted in overlapping voices, accusations, panic. Patricia sat frozen, watching her career dissolve in real time. Charles raised his hand for silence. When he spoke, his voice had aged a decade. What do they want? Full payment per the contract terms, non-disparagement agreement, neutral employment reference. They're not asking for punitive damages or emotional distress. The attorney says his client just wants to move on with his life. And if we fight it, we lose, badly, and it becomes public record. The publicity alone would damage us significantly. We'd be the company that punished an employee for taking vacation. There's also the matter of the other 43 employees. If we fight this and lose, which we will, we establish precedent that makes those claims ironclad. Charles looked at Patricia, and in that look, she saw her entire future crumble. You're suspended pending investigation. Clean out your office today. Charles, I was trying to. You cost this company $1 million because you couldn't respect an employee's vacation time. You documented a contract violation in writing. You're done. Patricia stood on shaking legs, gathered her things, and walked out. The door closed behind her with a sound like a cell locking. Charles looked at Amanda. Draft the settlement agreement, whatever they want. Make this go away. Already done. I just needed board authorization to sign. You have it. Charles stared at the spilled coffee spreading across the floor. $1 million because someone wanted to take his daughter to the beach. Part 7. The settlement. The call came 3 days later. Marcus was in the backyard, teaching Emma how to identify birds by their songs. A cardinal was singing in the oak tree, and Emma was giggling at the way Marcus whistled back to it. Marcus Webb? Speaking. This is Amanda Reyes, General Counsel for Silverstone Analytics. I'm calling to discuss the settlement proposal your attorney sent over. Marcus gestured for Rachel to take Emma inside. She did, understanding immediately. I'm listening. We've reviewed the contract clause in question. The company is prepared to offer full payment according to Clause 7.3, $650,000 in salary compensation, $200,000 in accelerated stock option vesting, and 5 years of health benefit continuation. We'll also provide a neutral employment reference and sign a mutual non-disparagement agreement. That's what we asked for. I need you to understand something, Mr. Webb. This clause, it shouldn't have been in your contract. It was a mistake. I understand. But you're entitled to it, legally. And more than that, she paused. What happened to you was wrong. Patricia Holbrook has been terminated. Her severance was also canceled. There are policy changes being implemented, but none of that fixes what you went through. Marcus watched Emma through the kitchen window. She was showing Rachel something she'd drawn, probably the cardinal. Ms. Reyes, can I ask you something? Of course. How many other people at Silverstone have this clause in their contracts? I'm not at liberty to say. But more than 0. Yes. Are you going to honor it for them too, if they're put in the same situation? Another pause. The contracts are being amended. Going forward, that's not what I asked. Amanda sighed. Yes. If any current employee with that clause is terminated under similar circumstances, we'll honor it. That's now official company policy. You've changed things here, Mr. Webb. Maybe for the better. Marcus felt something release in his chest. Then thank you for being honest. Can I ask you something? Sure. Your response to the termination letter. Just thank you. What did that mean? Marcus smiled. It meant I knew something they didn't, and it meant I wasn't going to let them steal my peace. They'd already taken enough. That's remarkably zen for someone who just got screwed over. I got my vacation, Miss Reyes. I got 2 weeks with my daughter. I gotta remember what matters. Everything after that is just money. That's a healthy perspective. It's the only one that lets you sleep at night. They finalized the details. The settlement would be executed within 10 business days. Marcus would sign the non-disparagement agreement. Not that he planned to speak publicly about this anyway. He'd get his money, Silverstone would get their silence. Everyone would move on. But something had shifted in the bedrock of that company, Marcus knew. Word would get out. It always did. People would know someone had drawn a line, had defended a boundary, and had won. Maybe that would matter. Maybe it wouldn't. But it would matter to him. Part 8, 6 months later. The new job wasn't perfect. The pay was slightly less, though the settlement had made that irrelevant for now. But Marcus left the office at 5 p.m. every day. His manager didn't email on weekends. The culture wasn't about grinding yourself into dust. It was about sustainable performance. He coached Emma's soccer team now, had never missed a game. Rachel had started painting again, something she'd abandoned years ago when life got too busy. Their house felt like a home instead of just a place they slept between work shifts. Jordan called him sometimes, updating him on the aftermath at Silverstone. Patricia had landed at another company but taken a significant demotion. The employee handbook had been completely rewritten. There was mandatory training now about respecting vacation time. The culture was changing slowly, glacially, but changing. People talk about you, you know, Jordan said during one call. The guy who said no and won. I didn't say no. I just took my vacation. Same thing. Maybe it was. Marcus had framed the termination letter, hung it in his home office, not as a trophy, but as a reminder of what happens when you forget that your work serves your life, not the other way around, of what companies will take if you let them, of the importance of reading contracts carefully and keeping documentation, but mostly as a reminder that sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, thank you. Thank you for showing me exactly who you are. Thank you for releasing me from a place that didn't value me. Thank you for teaching me that I'm worth more than my productivity. Thank you for the gift of clarity. Emma ran into his office, breathless from playing outside. Dad, Mom says dinner's ready. We're having tacos. I'll be right there, sweetheart. She hugged him, squeezed tight, then ran back out.
He could hear her singing in the hallway, something she'd learned at school. Marcus looked at the framed letter one more time, then turned off his computer, which he never brought home anyway, and went to have dinner with his family. Outside, the evening settled over the suburbs. Somewhere in glass towers across the country, people were still at their desks, still grinding, still sacrificing, still believing that the company would take care of them if they just worked hard enough. Marcus hoped they'd learn the truth before it cost them too much. But if they didn't, if they had to learn the hard way like he had, he hoped they'd be lucky enough to have a Clause 7.3 hidden in their contracts, and brave enough to use it.
Your worth is not measured by your availability. Your value is not determined by your willingness to sacrifice everything. Your boundaries are not negotiable, regardless of what any employer claims. And sometimes, the most powerful response to injustice is calm, confident assertion of your rights, followed by a simple thank you that says, "I know something you don't, and I'm about to teach you an expensive lesson." The company tried to punish Marcus for being human, for choosing family, for believing that approved vacation meant actual time off. They thought they held all the cards. They forgot that he'd read the contract. They forgot that dignity isn't granted, it's inherent. They forgot that sometimes the quiet person who just smiles and says, "Thank you," is the most dangerous person in the room. Not because they're vindictive, but because they know their worth and they won't settle for less. The cost of respecting someone's vacation, $0. The cost of punishing someone for taking one, $850,000. The cost of learning to value people over productivity, priceless.